The morning sun spread softly across the compound, brushing against the walls of the small but beautiful bungalow. The air smelled of fried plantain and fresh soap, a scent that usually meant joy in most homes. But in the Daniels compound that morning, joy was slowly losing its voice. Mary adjusted her head tie nervously as she arranged the dining table. It was her third month in her husband's family house, and yet, she still felt like a visitor. Every plate she dropped on the table sounded like a test. Every movement, every word, carefully weighed. From the kitchen, her mother-in-law's voice sliced through the air like a blade. "Mary, did you wash those vegetables properly? Or you just want to feed us sand this morning?" Mary froze. She had washed them 3 times already. She turned quickly, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Yes, Mama, I washed them. Very well." Mama Daniels walked in, a stout woman in her early 60s, her face lined not just by age but by years of holding authority. Her eyes scanned the table like a soldier inspecting troops. She hissed softly, "You young girls of nowadays, no training. I don't know what my son saw in you." Mary swallowed hard. She'd heard this line so many times that it no longer shocked her, but it still hurt. She tried to smile. "Mama, I'll try to do better," she said softly. "Try." Mama snapped. "Marriage is not about trying. It's about doing. If you can't handle a home, let me know. My son didn't marry you to be learning on the job." At that moment, David, her husband, walked in from the bedroom, adjusting his shirt. He smiled when he saw his mother and wife together. "Ah, my 2 favorite women," he said cheerfully. Mary forced a smile. Mama Daniels didn't respond. "Good morning, Mama," he greeted, bending slightly. "Morning, my son," she said warmly, her voice softening instantly. "You're looking fresh. I made your favorite stew." Mary's heart pinched. "But I made the stew," she thought quietly. Mama continued, serving David with pride. "Eat well, my son. You need strength. You've lost weight since you married." David laughed, not reading between the lines. "Mama, I'm fine. Oh, Mary is taking good care of me." Mama scoffed. If you say so." Mary kept silent, watching as her husband enjoyed the meal. She'd cooked it, but the praise would go elsewhere again. That night, David noticed she was quiet in bed. "Babe, what's wrong?" he asked, pulling her close. "Nothing," she whispered. But inside, her chest was heavy. She had tried so hard to win Mama's heart, helping with chores, cooking, even waking up early to fetch water. But no matter what she did, it was never enough. Mama would always find fault. Sometimes she wished they lived alone, but she couldn't say it. David loved his mother too much. Still, she prayed every night. "God, please help me love her, even if she doesn't love me." Weeks passed. The tension in the house thickened like unspoken smoke. One afternoon, Mama visited her friend next door and started talking loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I don't know what boys are turning into these days," she said. "They go and pick any girl from anywhere, without asking questions. No proper family background, no manners. Just beauty without brains." Mary heard it from the kitchen. Her hands trembled as she washed plates. Tears blurred her sight. That night, she told David. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Mary, you know Mama talks a lot. Don't take it to heart. But it's me she's talking about, David." Her voice cracked. "What have I done to her?" "She'll come around," he said weakly. "Just give her time." But time only deepened the wound. One morning, Mary woke up dizzy. She'd been feeling weak lately. She went to the clinic and came home with a smile. "David," she called. "Guess what? I'm pregnant." David's eyes widened in joy. He lifted her and spun her around. "Are you serious?" "Oh my God. Thank you, Jesus." Mama Daniels overheard them and came out. "Pregnant?" she repeated, her tone unreadable. I hope it's true." "Mama, I went to the clinic," Mary said happily. The doctor confirmed. "All right," Mama said flatly, folding her arms. "Let's just hope it's a strong child. You don't even look healthy enough." Her words struck deep. Mary's smile faded. David tried to lighten the air, but it was too late. Mama went back inside, muttering something about weak women and weak wombs. Mary sat down slowly, her joy turning to silence. And that silence began to grow into something much darker. The pain that broke her heart. The days after the pregnancy announcement were not what Mary had dreamed of. She expected joy, laughter, and tender care. Instead, the house grew colder. Mama Daniels' words became sharper, her tone heavier, her looks more piercing. If Mary coughed, Mama would say. You see? That's why I said you're too fragile. You can't even carry a baby with strength. If she rested for a while, Mama would mutter. Lazy girls of nowadays. In our time, a pregnant woman would farm and still cook for the entire compound. Mary bore it all in silence. But silence has a way of hurting deeper than words. One afternoon, Mary was in the kitchen, washing vegetables for soup when Mama walked in. The older woman watched her for a while, then said coldly, When I was pregnant with David, I used to wake up by 4 a.m. to sweep, wash, and cook before going to the farm. Now look at you, sleeping like a queen till 8. Mary turned quickly. Mama, I've not been sleeping. I've been feeling dizzy lately. The doctor said I should rest more. Doctor? Mama scoffed. So now you listen to doctors more than your elders? These so-called doctors, what do they know about marriage? Mary lowered her eyes. I'm sorry, Mama. You better be, Mama snapped. Because if anything happens to that baby, don't come crying to me. Mary swallowed her tears. The water from the sink was running, but her thoughts were louder. What did I ever do wrong? She thought. Why does she hate me this much? Evenings of pretense. Every evening, David would come home tired. He worked long hours and often returned to a tense home. Mary, Mama told me you didn't cook before she came back from the market, he said one night. I did, David. I was just serving when she came in. But Mama said she met you lying down. I wasn't feeling fine. He sighed, cutting her off gently. Please try to be more active. Mama's just worried about you. Mary looked away. Worried about me or angry at me? She whispered. David didn't answer. He loved his mother dearly. He also loved Mary. But he didn't know how to stand in the middle without hurting one of them. And in trying to please both, he slowly began to lose one. The day it happened, it was a rainy morning. The compound was quiet except for the rhythmic drumming of raindrops on the roof. Mary had just finished washing some clothes and was hanging them when she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her lower abdomen. She screamed softly, holding her stomach. Mama! Mama! She cried out. Mama Daniels rushed out, alarmed. What is it? My stomach, it's hurting badly. Instead of rushing her to the hospital, Mama frowned. I told you to stop stressing yourself. But you won't listen. Always trying to show me you can work. Mary winced in pain. Please, Mama, called David, please. David is at work. What will I tell him? That you lost his child because you don't have sense. Tears streamed down Mary's face. Mama, please. Finally, after minutes that felt like hours, Mama reluctantly called a neighbor to help take her to the clinic. When David arrived later, his face was pale with fear. He ran straight to the nurse. Where's my wife? Where's my wife? The nurse sighed. She's stable now, but she lost the pregnancy. I'm sorry. David froze. His world went still. When he entered the ward and saw Mary lying weak and pale, he broke down. He took her hand, tears falling freely. I'm so sorry, Mary. I'm so sorry. Mary turned her head slowly toward him. Her lips trembled. I told Mama. I was feeling pain before it happened. David's eyes darkened. What pain? She said nothing more, just tears. He turned to his mother who stood quietly at the corner, holding her wrapper tightly. Mama, David said, his voice trembling. You heard her. She called you. Why didn't you help her immediately? Mama looked away. I thought it was one of her usual complaints. How was I to know it was serious? Mama, David shouted. She's my wife. That was my child. The nurse quickly signaled him to calm down, but the damage was done. From that day, something changed between David and his mother. He became distant, not rude, but quiet around her. He moved Mary to the guest room to rest, and for the first time, Mama Daniels began to feel the silence of her own making. A house divided. Days turned into weeks. Mary barely spoke. Her eyes were hollow, her laughter gone. She no longer cooked or joined in family discussions. David tried to comfort her, but she would just smile weakly and say, I'm fine. Mama noticed the change, but pride held her tongue. She wanted to speak, to say, I'm sorry, but every time she opened her mouth, her pride swallowed the words. One night, she overheard David praying in his room. God, please heal my wife. Please help her forgive Mama. I know she didn't mean it, but the pain is too much. Mama's heart sank. She sat on her bed, covering her face with her hands. For the first time, she felt the weight of her actions pressing hard on her chest. Did I push my son's wife too far? She thought. Did I really cause this? She wanted to deny it, but the guilt was louder than her pride. When pride broke down, the house was quiet. Too quiet. For days, Mama Daniels moved around like a shadow. She tried to keep herself busy, sweeping, cooking, visiting neighbors. But nothing filled the silence that hung between her and Mary. Mary's laughter, once gentle and bright, had vanished. David's voice had grown tired. Even when he spoke to his mother, it was only short, polite sentences. Something was missing in the home. Something she couldn't ignore anymore. A small act of kindness. One morning, Mama Daniels walked into the sitting room and saw Mary folding clothes slowly, her face blank. She hesitated at the doorway, unsure what to say. Then she noticed Mary bending slightly and wincing in pain. "Be careful," Mama said softly. Mary looked up, surprised to hear concern in that voice. "Yes, Mama," she replied faintly. Mama walked closer. "Let me help you with that." Mary shook her head gently. "It's okay. I can do it." Mama bent anyway, taking some of the clothes. "No, you rest. I'll do it." For the first time since the miscarriage, their hands brushed as they folded together. Neither spoke, but something small, something fragile, cracked open between them. A silence not of anger, but of understanding. The visit. That Sunday, David convinced both women to go to church. He hoped the air outside might lighten their hearts. During the service, the pastor spoke about forgiveness. "Unforgiveness," he said, "is a prison. You might think you're punishing the other person, but you're really punishing yourself." Mama's eyes filled with tears. Every word felt directed at her. After the service, she sat quietly in the back pew, watching other families laugh together. She saw a young couple holding hands, smiling warmly at the older woman beside them, clearly the man's mother. The scene stung her heart. That used to be us, she thought. David, Mary, and me. She went home troubled. The breaking point. 2 nights later, Mama heard a soft cry from Mary's room. She walked closer and found Mary sitting on the bed, clutching a small baby sock in her hand, one she had bought months earlier in excitement. Tears rolled down Mary's cheeks silently. Mama froze at the door. Something inside her shattered completely. She walked in slowly and sat beside her daughter-in-law. "Mary," her voice trembled. "I know I've hurt you deeply." Mary didn't move. She kept her eyes on the sock. Mama continued, her voice breaking. "I was wrong. I let my pride blind me. I thought I was protecting my son, but I was destroying his happiness. And yours." Mary looked at her, eyes swollen with tears. "Mama, you don't have to forgive me," Mama said quickly. "But please know that I'm truly sorry. For every word, every look, every time I made you feel less than enough." Mary covered her mouth, sobbing softly. She had longed for those words, even once, and now they came when she least expected. Mama reached for her hand. It was cold, trembling. "I lost my husband early," Mama whispered. "David became my whole world. I didn't want anyone to take him from me. I was afraid, and fear made me cruel." Mary sniffed, her voice weak. "I never wanted to take him, Mama. I just wanted to be part of the family." The 2 women cried quietly together. Years of pain melted in that moment, washed away by sincerity. When David walked in, he froze at the sight, his mother and wife, holding hands, tears falling freely. He dropped his bag and knelt before them, overwhelmed. "Thank you, Jesus," he whispered. "Thank you. A new beginning." Days passed, and the change was visible. Mama began helping Mary with chores, not out of duty, but out of care. She told neighbors proudly, "My daughter is recovering well. She's stronger than I ever was." Sometimes they would cook together, laughing softly over little things. The house, once heavy with tension, now carried warmth again. One evening, Mama called David and Mary into the sitting room. "I've been thinking," she said gently. "You two need your own space. It's time I went to stay with my sister for a while." David looked surprised. "Mama, you don't have to." "I do," she interrupted. "Every bird must learn to fly. I'll visit often, but you both need to grow together without me watching your every move." Mary's eyes filled with emotion. "Mama, thank you." Mama smiled, touching her cheek. "No, my daughter. Thank you for forgiving me." 6 months later, it was a bright Sunday morning when David rushed into the compound, shouting with joy. "Mama, Mary, the doctor just confirmed. Mary is pregnant again." Mama dropped the broom she was holding and ran toward them. "Pregnant?" she screamed, laughing and crying at once. God, you have done it." She hugged Mary tightly, tears streaming down her face. "This time, you will not cry, my daughter. I will take care of you myself." Mary smiled through tears. Thank you, Mama. Months later, when the baby was born, a healthy, chubby boy, Mama was the first to hold him. She kissed his forehead and whispered softly, "Welcome, my grandson. You are the proof that love always wins." Mary watched her with a full heart. In that moment, all the pain, all the tears, all the heartbreak felt worth it, because from it grew something pure, understanding, love, and forgiveness. The healing that changed everything. The rain that fell that night felt different, calm, peaceful, like a prayer being answered. Inside the Daniels compound, the sound of baby laughter filled the air. Little Samuel had just turned 2 months old, and every giggle felt like a song of healing. Mary sat on the veranda, rocking him gently while Mama Daniels peeled groundnuts beside her. The scene was simple, yet it was everything they once lost: peace, laughter, warmth, new rhythm of love. Mama Daniels had changed in ways no one expected. She was softer, gentler, and more patient. Every morning, she would hum gospel tunes as she swept the compound, then walk into the kitchen to prepare pap for Mary before she even woke up. "You need to rest," Mama would say. "The baby needs a strong mother." Mary would smile, touched by the care. "Thank you, Mama. You're doing too much." "Nonsense," Mama would reply playfully. That's what mothers do. They had gone from enemies under the same roof to friends who shared laughter and secrets. Sometimes Mary would tease, "Mama, you're too protective of me now, oh." "What changed?" Mama would chuckle. "Life taught me. When you lose something precious, you learn how to value what's left." A visit from the past. One Saturday, an old neighbor, Mama Grace, came visiting. She hadn't been to the compound in months and was surprised by what she saw. "Ah, Mama Daniels," she exclaimed. "You and your daughter-in-law are now like sisters, oh. I remember when this house was always silent." Mama Daniels smiled proudly. "Yes, my dear. God has opened my eyes. I was the problem all along." Mary tried to stop her. "No, Mama, please don't say that. We both had our faults." "No, my daughter," Mama said softly. "You were only trying to find peace. I was the storm. But God is merciful. He gave us another chance." Mama Grace nodded thoughtfully. "Not everyone gets that chance. You're blessed." Mary smiled and held Mama's hand gently. "We both are." David's gratitude. That evening, David came home early and found his mother and wife cooking together, singing an old folk song. He stopped by the door, watching them with tears in his eyes. "This is what I prayed for," he thought. A peaceful home. When they noticed him, Mary laughed. "You're just standing there smiling like a visitor. Come and pound pepper." He laughed, walking over to kiss her forehead. Then he turned to his mother. "Mama, thank you. For everything. For forgiving, for loving, for being the glue again." Mama waved her hand. "Go and thank God, my son. He is the one who fixed what we broke." A letter to herself. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, Mama Daniels sat alone in her room. She took out an old notebook, one she had kept for years, and began to write. "Dear me, you once let pride build a wall between you and love. You thought authority made you strong, but humility made you wiser. You almost lost your family, but grace found you. Now you know, love isn't about control, it's about kindness. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it heals the heart enough to make peace with it. And if ever you forget, remember Mary's tears. They watered the seed of the new joy you live in today." She closed the notebook, smiling through tears. It was the first time she had written something not out of regret, but out of gratitude. A final test. A few months later, Mary's younger sister, Ruth, came to stay for a while. She was lively and free-spirited, always singing and chatting. But her carefree attitude began to irritate Mama a little. One morning, Ruth left a pile of dirty plates in the sink. Old habits stirred in Mama's heart. She was ready to shout, but she stopped herself. She took a deep breath and said gently, "Ruth, my daughter, please don't leave plates like this. It makes the kitchen messy." Ruth turned, startled. Mama, you're not angry." Mama laughed. "No, my dear. Anger solves nothing. I've learned." Mary watched from the doorway, smiling proudly. "Mama, you've changed, oh." "I had to," Mama replied softly. "Anger cost me too much once." Peace restored. Months later, on a bright afternoon, the family gathered under the mango tree. The baby crawled on the mat, giggling as David blew bubbles. Mama sat beside Mary, feeding her roasted corn. "You know," Mama began, I used to think peace comes when others change, but it comes when you do." Mary nodded, her eyes glistening. "I thank God you changed, Mama. You saved us all." Mama smiled. "No, my daughter. You saved us. With patience, with love." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset. For the first time in years, every corner of the Daniels home carried laughter, prayer, and peace. When love meets pride, pain follows. But when love meets forgiveness, peace returns. No family is perfect, but when hearts soften, even the deepest wounds can heal. This is not just a story about a mother-in-law and her daughter-in-law. It's a story about us all, about the power of understanding and the beauty of forgiveness.